And as they're beating him, punching in his face, he's looking to his wife saying, please tell them stop. And she's saying, jump! No! Shut up! And what it is, devil women are attracted to him.
Huh?
But this stubborn woman, her problem can't be solved.
Yeah, it's really good.
She is the problem.
Bruh.
She is the problem. She's a walking, talking problem. You're every day climbing a uphill, steep mountain, bro, and you've got this fat weight on your ankle that's pulling you down called a wife.
Bruh. This girl's wasted on you. She can be my wife, and wallahi, she'll be grateful.
So what did you say? Push just came to shove, and if things really hit the fan, bro, you're not my dad. Say something like, what? You're not my dad. But when I used to go home, I used to get nightmares. I used to be scared. Like, I gave up. I gave up. Because I can't see my daughter again. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Chai with my Bhai. I've got a question for you. How many times have you come across a video, a lecture, a reel, or an event poster that says the type of woman that you should marry or the type of husband that you should marry? Probably a lot, right? It's one of the most commonly discussed issues that we see around today. How many times, though, have you seen the title, the type of woman you should divorce? Probably very few, maybe even never. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be discussing in today's episode of Chai with my Bhai. I've got with me Imran, Saad and Abbas. Guys, you want to give salam, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum.
Sorry.
So before we get into it, I do have to mention a little disclaimer. I must warn you, brothers that are watching, you may start listening to this podcast married, and the next episode, when you listen to it next week, you may be single on Sunnah Match, trying to find the right one in the right way, because you realized because of this podcast, you are not with the right one. So with that said, let's talk about the taboo topic of divorce. And the first question that I want to ask is, why is it that divorce generally is seen as such a negative thing? Is there any basis behind that? Is it just a cultural thing? Is it just based on upbringing? Does anyone have any insights into this issue?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Yeah, so divorce is not at all a bad thing. It's just badly handled. It's badly executed. It's badly dealt with. But it's actually a beautiful thing in that it's a fire exit when the building's burning. If my building's on fire, I need a way to get out.
Yeah, can you imagine if we didn't? Like, you just couldn't, or if you get married, that's it, for life.
Right.
Can't get divorced now.
And
The right to on you.
I think the murder rate would be exponentially higher than it is at the moment.
And Sahaba got divorced and they got married,
Yeah.
and the Prophet got divorced.
Yeah.
Maybe may not be aware, there was a woman the Prophet married, and you know, the women had said to her, when you go to the Prophet, seek refuge in Allah from him.
I know you're really enjoying the podcast. I'm really sorry to disturb you, but I know you're going to love what I have to offer you right now. Our Umrah with the Mandem X trip is almost sold out. If you sign up before Sunday, inshallah, you'll get the Umrah package itself. On top of that, you'll get the Umrah setup on the Brothers Club, where we taught how to set up your own Umrah company. So you'll be able to set up your own Umrah company. You'll be learning, observing us managing our Umrah company. On top of that, you're going to get £2,000 worth of courses from the Brothers Club, the Arabic Code, the Knowledge College. There is no reason to not sign up. And remember, this is our last and final ever Umrah with the Mandem, and our trips, alhamdulillah, are always absolutely life-changing. And we're so confident that if by the last day of the trip you don't feel ready to change your life, we'll give you your money back. If you are interested, you can go to the description, message the number on WhatsApp, and hopefully, inshallah, we'll see you at the airport. Assalamu alaikum. Let's get back to the episode.
I don't know why. I mean, she did. And the Prophet said, he said, لَقَدْ عُذْتِ بِعَظِيمٍ أو كما قال. He said, you sought refuge in something big. Go. Like, he divorced her. He wanted to divorce
Was that one statement?
Right, because she sought refuge in Allah. You're saying, I ask Allah to protect me from you.
And this isn't one of the 11
Subhanallah.
wives that I mentioned.
No. They are his wife. She's not a wife now. She's been divorced, right?
But you know, as in, people commonly say there was 11 wives of the Prophet.
Yes.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She was outside of that.
Outside of that.
What was
they
her
were
name? As in, who was she?
I forget her name. Radiallahu anha. I forget her name. But the Prophet wanted to divorce Hafsa, and then Jibril came and he said, no. You know, innaha sawama qawwama. She's a woman who, she fasts a lot and she prays a lot at night. Point being is that
It was
divorce,
Sauda, radiallahu anha.
he wanted to divorce her, but then they reconciled. So point was that it's not like divorce is a foreign thing, and
It's not a sin.
it can be. And that's the thing, isn't it? Divorce and marriage are very similar in that sometimes marriage is wajib and sometimes divorce is wajib. Sometimes marriage is haram and sometimes divorce is
What's
haram.
the situation? Because someone might be wondering, how on earth can marriage be haram? What's the situation, for example?
A mushrika, a woman who worships another God besides Allah, or a woman who's already married. Allah said, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتْ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. A woman who's already married to another man, you can't marry her, right?
A man who's got 4.
A man who's already got 4, you can't marry a 5th, right?
A man on his deathbed.
I didn't know that, barakallah feek.
Yeah, because I'm not started mentioning it in class because
I don't know.
it,
The last class you mentioned?
no. This was
Okay.
Dar Salam.
I didn't know that, barakallah.
The issue was because of the issue of inheritance.
Ah.
If a man, because
He
out of spite for his children or his other wife, and he doesn't want to get inheritance, he marries someone on his deathbed
Right.
just so that she gets a share and reduces their share. That doesn't count.
Barakallah feek, jazakallah khair. Also in ihram during Hajj Umrah. So there's times when marriage is haram and there's times when it's wajib. Like for example, man's gonna sin. He's about to do, he knows he's gonna do zina. It's wajib to get married. The scholars mention, you know, the asr is recommended. Sunnah to get married. Like everyone should, as long as he's got the ability. If you've already got one, mubah to get a second, you're allowed to. If you want to, you can provide for. Sometimes it's makruh to get married. Point being that it changes. Likewise with divorce, right? And divorce is sometimes haram. For example, if you want to divorce the woman, just because you want to cause her pain, like you know, there's no reason. I just want to divorce her to cause her pain, or to cause her parents
These past
pain.
20 years, she's been getting on my nerves, so I'm going to divorce her now to
No, that's a reason.
break her heart.
No.
That's the reason. He's saying without any reason.
No, I'm saying if your reason is I just want to cause her pain, that's haram. If you just want to harm her, but
That's a very evil.
Yeah, that must be, that's
But
a bit,
something like that, it's like,
can't
you know
even- I
what, her
can't
mum
even relate with
violated
that.
me, talaq. Or, nah, this girl, talaq, I just want to that's haram. Also, it's haram to divorce a woman when she's on her menses. It's also haram to divorce a woman where you give her, for example, more than one talaq at the same time. It's a talaq bid'i, right? When you say to her, I give you 3 divorce, one, that's haram. It happens, according to some scholars. Some said no, it's just one. Point being that what? Even if you give her a divorce on her menses, it happens, but it's what? And obviously, if you feel confused about is my wife divorced or not, go to a scholar. Don't take it from this at all. Like for Allah, don't implement it from this. But that's when it's haram. When it's makruh is, for example, you want to divorce her with no reason. I just want to divorce her for no reason. Not because I want to hurt her. No, as in you don't have any reason. It's not that she's bad. It's not that you're not attracted to her. Also, you don't want to cause her pain, but you just want to. And the reason some scholars say that is because the hadith of the Prophet said, "Inna aghbad al-halali." إن أغبض الحلال عند الله الطلاق أو كما قال, that the most hated thing to Allah from the halal things is divorce. Even the hadith is da'if, weak, but some of the scholars, they strengthen it, made it hasan. Point being is that's when it's makruh. It's mubah, it's allowed when to divorce her when there's a reason to divorce her. Bad manners, you're not attracted to her, you feel like you won't be able to fulfill her rights. When it's recommended to divorce her, and you should divorce her, is when her bad manners start to affect other than you, i.e. your parents. Any woman who disrespects your parents, the scholars mention, is recommended to divorce her. And it's wajib to divorce a woman. There's some situations, like for example, if you refuse to go to bed with her and have intimacy with her past 4 months, it's called ilah, then it can become, the qadi can make it wajib for you to divorce her. Also, khula', she wants khula' and it goes to the qadi and it becomes wajib. And also if she does act of kufr, anything that was kufr, like she insults the Prophet, she insults Allah, the deen of Allah, and she doesn't make tawbah, she does sihr, and how many brothers' wives have done sihr and done magic and whatnot, it's kufr, right? It's wajib to divorce her.
How many brothers' wives have done it? I don't know.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah, it's a fairly common thing in Pakistanis. Yeah.
And
I mean, we made it sound as if people we know.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, yeah, I actually know.
Really? You know, a guy whose wife did magic on him, or in general, sorry.
A few.
Really?
No way.
I already talk.
Yeah, that's,
okay, and of course,
she
abandoning the
does
prayer.
magic on him that he can't divorce her.
Of course,
She does a love
abandoning the
potion on
salah.
him or
Sorry,
something.
sorry?
Good. What do they call it?
Oh,
Love
yes.
spell.
Huh?
Okay, there's one that I know, yeah.
Yeah, don't know as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done ruqya so many times, and there's times when it's the wife. Man. Point being is that it's not something that is what. It's a solution.
But did
to a
you guys
problem.
also grow up with the notion that it's something which is haram
Oh, yeah,
or
of course.
sinful or
I thought it was like, you should be very careful. I think it's just because of how people take it. Like, my life is over. What am I going to do? He left me with all the kids. And obviously, every situation is different. So I'm not saying I'm trying to say it's always a good thing. I'm just saying that, I definitely have the feeling, the inkling that it's generally
Because
better
Pakistanis,
to avoid.
how many Pakistanis parents are just not in love with each other, but they just stay together?
Yeah.
that's a culture it was back then. innit? Like I know so many people.
It was taboo.
The first time they saw the person they were going to marry was on the nikah.
Yeah.
Like at the nikah, they saw the person for the first time. Met him. First time before, never.
So and there's family pressure. I can't get divorced. This that and also because like, people criminalize divorce, isn't it? In the sense where like if you divorce a woman because either because it's wajib or it's recommended or it's mubah because she's just bad managed, she's evil managed, she's got bad tongue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the harm is only to you. Now you could be patient with her if you want, or you could say goodbye, sister.
Another reason why I think people.
So the point I mentioned was that her family will make threats to attack you.
Yeah.
There's a brother we know who wanted to get divorced recently because his wife is vulgar, and not only that, she insults his mum. And when he divorced her, the brothers kidnapped him, beat him up, punched him in the face, and I actually spoke to the brother.
Locked him up in the yard.
Yeah, locked him up in the yard. So I called the brother saying, "Listen, you lot better release." And the guy was like, "Whatever happens. He's gonna stay with our sister." I was like, "You can't keep a man prisoner, bro." He was like, "So what do you want? You want my sister to just be single then?" I'm like, bro, listen, I think your sister's a shaitan.
Because the thing is, the guy was cussing out the brother, saying he's this, he's that. So why do you want a guy like that married your sister in the first place?
Yeah.
Then because it's better to be married than to be divorced, no matter who the guy is. That doesn't even make sense.
And Allah said in the Quran, وإذا بلغنا وإذا طلقتموهن, Allah said, فأمسكوهن بمعروف وصارحوهن بمعروف. Either hold her in good or leave her in good.
Yeah.
Like if the marriage is not working, don't force it. Because Allah said, keep her in good or let her go in good. As in, if I can't keep her bil ma'roof and we have a nice loving relationship, then let me let her go. But here's the thing, in good.
Yeah.
I.e., وَلَا تَنْسَوْا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Allah said, don't forget the good that happened between you. Also, it's recommended for a man to give a gift. If he's rich, he should give an expensive gift that reflects his wealth. If he's not so rich, he should give a
Do you
gift
mean when they get married?
when they get divorced.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it's in Surah Al-Baqarah.
Just to make sure
Right?
things end on a
وعلى
good note.
الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. Allah said if he's got a lot of money, he should give a gift in accordance. If he's got a lot of money, give a gift. Say, look, it didn't work out.
We'll come to that. Just on this point, the last one I want to mention is just the issue of sometimes people, the reason why they have negative connotation with divorce is because through personal experience, they even know someone that's been divorced and seen issues. Or even me, for example, like my parents got divorced when I was like 3 years old. So in my mind growing up, I always had like a negative connotation to divorce. To the point where like I feel like me personally, like I had the mindset of like no matter what happens, I will never divorce. Do you get it?
Okay.
Where it's just like because I don't want for my son the things that I happen. Yeah, like you know, you need to like. Alhamdulillah, my dad was around. Like I see him like every other weekend, like twice a month for the weekend. I'd spend it with him.
Yeah, very helpful relationship.
And he took me. Not only me, he used to take out all my cousins. There used to be like 10, 12 of us. And my dad was taking us out to like Trafalgar Square and this place and that place. And he used to take us out all the time. Go to the park, bike riding, this, that. Like I never felt like I was missing out. But at the same time,
Did you eventually come to live with your dad as well?
I did, yeah. I got kicked out when I was 18 and my dad took me in. But the point that I'm making is that still though, growing up, like certain things that I was able to get away with just because my dad wasn't around. Like my mom got remarried and alhamdulillah, my stepdad was an amazing individual and he really did. It's not easy to marry a woman who's already got a child and so on and so forth. And I definitely did not make it easy, in the house.
Problem child.
But because at the end of the day, like I've got the right to turn around and say to him, you're not my dad. Do you get it? So like, while there was that fear, he's older, he's in charge. At the same time, when push came to shove and if things really hit the fan, I would say, bro, you're not my dad. Like, say something like, what? You're not my dad. And my mum, obviously it's wrong. I'm not saying this is right, by the way. But the point I'm making is having, because there were times where, for example, if my dad got annoyed with me, that would, like, it would have a lot more. But even then, though, sometimes it would just get to the point where it would just be like, yeah, but you weren't there when I needed you. That's very wrong. That's very wrong. But the point that I'm making is having that experience with divorce and whatnot, and obviously having a son myself, it's one of those things that for me, it was just like in my mind, like, I can't let that happen. And like divorce is a bad thing. Whether khair can come from it, mom got remarried, I got 2 sisters from that, amazing, alhamdulillah, like a lot of khair did come from it. But the concept of there is still a lot of evil. And I know other people who have had similar situations, circumstances. So I feel like personal experiences is also another thing. So now, coming to the actual topic, which is what are some characteristics that we find in women that they should be divorced for? And before anyone mentions it, I want to read out a thread that somebody posted on their threads, which is the new Twitter. The brother said, "Don't ever marry this woman. A man had 3 wives. One was a thief because he didn't spend on her. He gave her money and she stopped stealing. The other used to sleep with guys because he wouldn't give her time. He gave her time, so she stopped cheating. The third was just disobedient. He tried everything to fix her problem, but she didn't change. She was the problem. The lesson learned is a thief and a fornicatress's problems can be fixed, but a stubborn woman can't. She is the problem." Only added a nice little ta'liqat at the end saying, for the folks that are a little bit challenged at understanding the overall intent behind such posts, the point is not to ever tolerate a woman cheating on you or a thief, but it's to outline the true borderline impossibility of making a marriage work with a hard-headed woman. So I think definitely we can dash disobedient and, but they all three of them were disobedient. Yeah. Stubbornness is, I think, the crux of the issue that example was trying to mention. How does stubbornness manifest, and at what level does it get to a point, or is it just any stubbornness whatsoever you feel? Because someone could argue that most women have an element of stubbornness in them. What is the level to which you would say stubbornness reaches where it's like, you need to go? So
that's the thing. I feel a bit apprehensive about giving like clear-cut parameters because I don't want people to be like, okay, go let me divorce my wife. because
give a little disclaimer.
So we're gonna come to some more detail at the end. But just to mention, the Sharia mentions 5 points of sulh, like five treatments for problems in a marriage. 5 treatments. Okay. Number 1, it mentions remind her, give her an admonishment, like tell her fear Allah. Second is leave the bed. Does that make sense? Like, don't have intimacy, don't have intercourse with her. Like, make a point. The Prophet left his wives for a month when he was disenchanted with them. The third thing is darb غير مبرح. Okay, it's what I don't want to use the word hit because hit in your mind, in people's mind, is like, you know what I'm saying, huh? Yeah, what happened to you? Yeah.
Sparring.
Yeah, but not facial sparring, as in it was grappling.
Yeah.
Someone's elbow accidentally.
We
don't do facial striking in our MMA classes.
But point being is that that should never happen. It's something with like the edges of your finger or a miswak that some of the scholars they mention. The point there is to show is getting serious now, not to actually cause her any physical bodily harm, but enough for your like how pattern up.
Like a bit of a shock factor. Like this is
pattern up. I've showed you I'm serious.
We went over this once.
Yeah. We did a whole podcast on this. Yeah, they can check it below. Then if that doesn't work, then there's tanazul, which is maybe give up your rights just to make things better. Like then you can see that 2 parties are clashing, at least maybe even for the short term. Like, okay, let me take an L. Because this one thing that I feel very passionate about is the thing that's causing a problem here. Maybe it's like £100 extra a month or 15 minutes extra a day. Like it's not the end. It's not worth divorcing over. So tanazul, like sulhu khair. We'll come to that later, inshallah, in more detail. And then if it doesn't work, then the 5th thing is bring someone from her family, bring someone from your family, and you have I'll come to it in detail later. But if they both want reconciliation, يوفق الله بينهم. Allah Azza wa Jalla bring about reconciliation after doing these 5 things. And by the way, the Prophet never hit any of his wives, so you don't have to do that.
Surah An-Nisa.
Huh? Surah An-Nisa, yeah.
I can't remember.
And the scholars actually mentioned that it's an honorable man doesn't even like do that. The Prophet never did that anyway. So the other 4, point being is that what? If at the end of that she's still stubborn, then it's time to let her go. Or she's still any of the other things that we're going to mention, it's time to let her go. So I can mention the characteristics to you, but before you divorce her, the process. Like remind her. And that process is not overnight. Does that make sense?
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
anything-
actually in spirit of what we spoke about in the previous episode, which is letting them know early.
Yeah.
Like, look, this I can't tolerate this, and then eventually going down the process. Yeah.
like when you sack someone, you give them a month's notice.
Yeah, exactly,
Oh
yeah.
wait,
Yeah.
we're gonna check your behavior now.
Yeah.
Disciplinary. It's in your month or two.
Progress improvement plan for your wife.
progress
That's
improvement plan.
jokes.
If it doesn't work, it's gonna be goodbye. So my point is that whatever we say is really important. They just don't take it because we're gonna mention things. I'm gonna talk about things unrestricted. I just want to feel comfortable.
Yeah,
to
just go for it.
speak
Just go for it.
openly,
Bro, just go for it.
But
Just go for
you lot have to then understand that if you find this in your wife, before you go and just drop the T or the ta on her,
Yeah.
because the moment you say it, joke angry, it happens, bro. It's not something to play around with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You know, you should talk about that. If a guy says he's, spending time, like, haha, I divorce you. It's done. He did it.
There was
yeah.
a don that used to wrestle with his wife, and he said, "If I pin you, you're divorced." So in one night, he pinned her like 30 times.
Divorce. Talaq.
Yeah, because I said you divorce your wife. He said, but I
Yeah.
was joking. So the hadith clearly mentions it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't.
Cool. So yeah, in for all intents and purposes, the way to answer the question about hard-headedness, if you've gone through that whole process and she's still stubborn, she should go, bro.
How does stubbornness manifest? Like, what are some manifestations
her.
of stubbornness?
I don't know. Maybe it was her daddy
No,
issues.
I'm
I
saying-
don't know what it is.
I'm saying, what's the manifestation of it?
Okay, so
What are some examples of like, okay, that is stubborn?
she just doesn't accept a problem. She just doesn't change. She doesn't want to change. Every time I present a solution, like that third post that I posted, right? A woman who's sleeping with other men, who deserves to go, but can her problem be solved? Like maybe the intimacy is bad. It's inexcusable. But point is, even that can be solved. Like maybe you know he doesn't spend enough time with her, whatever have you. But this stubborn woman, her problem can't be solved.
Yeah, it's a really good
She is
point,
the
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, it's okay.
She is the problem. She's a walking, talking problem. You understand? There's no solution.
I think we as men, we always look for, as you said, solutions to all these issues. It's always like, there has to be a way to fix this. This can't be a lost cause. But no, I think it's very much so the case.
Yeah, it's just
Because you're not fixing a car or a machine where it's just going to wait for you to fix it. It's a person. Like, they're going in the opposite direction. There's no way you can pull them over. Do you see what I mean?
100%. So let's mention a few more traits, characteristics. I'll mention one actually. When we were in Pakistan, I remember we were sat with Sheikh Diyallah, Hafidhullah, and one of the brothers asked him about a situation that he was going through and so on and so forth. And the Sheikh mentioned something, and I was like, wow, I found it to be quite profound. And it was the ayah where it mentions, and we created for you spouses so that you could find, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, you could find peace, you could find tranquility in them. And this is one of the objectives of marriage, so that you're able to find peace and tranquility in your spouse. So he mentioned that if it's the case that you find that you're at a point in your relationship where the default is that you're getting the opposite of that. Instead of getting peace and tranquility, you're in a constant state of, what's the opposite of peace?
turmoil.
Turmoil and
distress.
distress and you're just stressed out, and that's like the default of your marriage, and that's what your spouse brings to you. You mentioned obviously there's a whole process and all of it, but perhaps that's an indication that this just isn't meant to be.
Yeah.
You said that's one of the indicators. That doesn't mean, by the way, if you're not watching this and you're having an issue and you're thinking, well, last week has been stressful. No, I'm not saying that at all. Like I said, there's a whole process, and the Sheikh mentioned this is perhaps an indicator that there's a deeper problem here than just what might be surface level.
It may just be a lack of compatibility, as in like just people they may be too different. You actually may be too different as people. You came together and you had a small overlap, and that overlap was worth, in your mind, getting married over. But now the overlap isn't worth, or it's not worth, but it's not big enough to make a long-term marriage work out. So that might just be.
As I'm saying, prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Just from the beginning. This is obviously we've done other episodes on this, which is the issue of how to find the right one. And that's obviously, as I mentioned in the introduction to this episode, there's many people out there talk about the right girl and how to find the right one and the right type of person to marry. But we're not here to discuss that. We're here to discuss the right type of person to divorce. So what are some other traits?
So like you
characteristics?
said, that's a big one. Like she may not even be a bad person, but if I don't have peace in my house and the only reason I got married was for peace, then yeah, it might be better to go. Another characteristic, and now we're talking about students of knowledge, and not just students of knowledge, but
As in sisters or students of knowledge?
no,
or?
brothers, I'm talking about brothers, yeah, as in the type of woman to divorce, is the wife of a student of knowledge has to be a bit different. And not just a student of knowledge, a man who wants greatness. a Muslim man who wants greatness, maybe he's doing business, whatnot, he can't have a normal wife. Like, it's a very important point that everyone has to register.
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently. I think you're right, yeah.
All my young brothers, Abid, pay attention. David too, man. Gems were dropping on you, bro. Hear me. A man who wants greatness, yeah, he can't have a normal wife. You know why? Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ, O wives of the Prophet, لَسْتُنَّ كَأَحَدٍ مِّن نِسَاءٍ. You're not like any other woman. You're not like other wives. You can't be like a normal woman. إِن تُرِدْنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. If you want the glitz and the glamours and the glories of this world, then you and marrying the Prophet doesn't come together. Does that make sense? Like a woman who has to be cut from a certain cloth to support a man for greatness. And this is one thing I really want my brothers to understand, because I want you to understand, like, I'm really, when I'm saying this, I'm talking with a decade of pain, seeing my brothers suffer and struggle, especially brothers that are students of knowledge, brothers that are good brothers who want khair, who want to reach high levels of success for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, even when it comes to business maybe, but for Allah's sake, is that, bro, they are desperately in need of a woman to encourage them and support them. Like, life is hard as it is anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
To be single. It's even harder to be single when what? When you're going through the difficulty of seeking knowledge, the difficulty of running your business. You know, as an entrepreneur, like, you're not just a guy who goes to work, clocks in, clocks out, gets his paycheck at the end of the day. No, as an entrepreneur, you don't eat if you don't work.
Yeah, well,
and it's not just you. All of the brothers underneath you, all of your staff members will not eat if you don't work.
Yeah.
And of course Allah provides ultimately. But we're talking about the means here. Like, you have to work at a very high level. Like, you have to really produce. Does that make sense? But imagine you're coming to work stressed. You're constantly fighting this woman. You're constantly at war with this woman. Bro, it's hell. Does that make sense? And there's no better example to me than the Prophet ﷺ. As soon as he became a prophet, and when he became distressed and scared at what had just happened to him, who did he go to? He didn't go to his best friend Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. He didn't go to his uncle Abu Talib, who's like a father to him. He went to Khadija. He says, Zammiluni, cover me up, right? So Khadija picked him up. Another time when the Prophet was going through extreme difficulty, extreme distress, was in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and without going into the story, he went back to Salama, and she comforted the Prophet, and she actually advised him, and she helped, give an advice that kept the Sahaba together, right? And brought about ultimately the great conquest, which was the conquest of Mecca, which was to come after. So like, a great man needs a great woman. And here's the thing. You cannot, bro, you desperately are in need, bro, of support. Well, like, a man is in desperate need of a supporting wife. Like, you're every day climbing a uphill, steep mountain, bro, and you've got this fat weight of on your ankle that's pulling you down, called a wife, that's just not supportive. She fights over every little thing. She just doesn't understand the vision. She doesn't understand the mission. Now, that doesn't mean that you oppress her, that you don't give her her rights. We're talking about a man who gives rights, right? We're talking about a man who gives his wife his rights, whatever. But I'm talking, she just above and beyond you taking care of her, she's just unnecessarily giving you trouble. I said, bro, this woman, just cut the weight, bro. Cut the weight, literally cut it. Oh, she drops some fools. That's her.
No, she'll be happy.
By the way, metaphorically speaking, don't actually dash a woman off a mountain. But the point that I mentioned, that'll be sick in the intro. The point that I mentioned is, you know what Allah said to Prophet ﷺ when he had issues with some of his wives? Allah said, Asa Rabbuhu, perhaps your Lord, He wants to replace you and give the Prophet some other wives that are obedient, that are righteous, that will listen. Could be widows, could be virgins, Allah says. But perhaps Allah will replace them with someone better than you. So maybe Allah wants someone better for you and better than you. And I got this fa'idah from our Sheikh, because, a lot of students of knowledge come to him, right? And they're struggling and their wives are just not listening, bro. And he's like, bro, you're a talib wa ilm, bro. Especially if you're fulfilling her rights, or taking care of her, you give her time, you provide for her. But he's like, we're built for battle, bro. That's as in, we're in a world where we're constantly grinding, working, right? Likewise, like, I saw a tweet from some kafir guy, right? He's an entrepreneur, right? So he said something like, when will young men, I think you referenced this one earlier, right? When will young men leave relationships where their women keep putting them down? Like that's so deep.
Yeah.
Like, why are you in a relationship with this woman and you're trying to be great? It was talking in the context of those who are aspiring to be like great. So you can't be coming home, bro. And you're dealing with mubtadi'a, you're dealing with kuffar, you're dealing with fusaq and fujar, but sometimes you're dealing with shayateen and jinn. Sometimes you're dealing with what? The business, we have it, we're about to lose it, payroll, payday, HMRC, HRC, whatever these acronyms are, debts, this, that, business, launch, kada wa kada, lawsuit, case. And then it's like, she don't give you a breather when you come home, bro.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
That's all wrong. I have no idea. I don't know how you're going to do that. Honestly, genuinely, because what you're saying is right. It's true. What you're looking for is somebody to support you. It's like that thing, man. What's it called?
Every great man has a great woman behind him.
No. I'm thinking of the. I'm not like supportive of
But
this.
that's true, you know. It's not just cliche. It's actually true.
The Prophet Khadija radiallahu anha at the beginning.
Basically, it's always the whole thing is always an uphill battle. And there's never going to be any. She's not going to. She's not. You know what it is? The job that you do as a husband, you have to do it so well that your wife doesn't even know how hard it is. Do you understand? The providing and the leading and the taking care of these people and those people. She can't even know how hard it is. She has to just feel that, you know, it's just done. He's just done it. My husband, he's good at it. He just does it. Right? But in that, she's also not going to know the difficulty and the trials and the tribulation. So by her design, like, as you were saying, maybe her personality, the way that she's compatible with you is that she's just by default, she's just a supportive person. She doesn't have to know how bad it was out there for her to support you and, you know, lift you up and keep her spirits high. She just does it.
But she should be conscious of it, though.
Yeah.
Like, she shouldn't be ungrateful. Like, I think it's a
yeah.
filthy, sickening characteristic with some women. It's like, bro, your husband is dying, bro, for you.
That's why they're gonna those women. That's why they're gonna go to the hellfire.
Yeah, it's true.
Those ones.
It's true. It's a hadith of the Prophet.
Yeah.
It's
No,
true.
I think another issue that we mentioned earlier was
David wanted to ask. Sorry, David. Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
No worries.
yeah.
Another one
She
is a
mentioned
woman who
the
doesn't
reconciliation thing as well.
honor. Yeah, a woman who doesn't protect your honor, your home. So it's also mentioned right in the Quran. That woman has to be one to protect your household, to protect your honor as well in your absence when you're not there.
Yeah.
And of course in your presence as well. And that goes for her speaking out to other people and, you know, unnecessarily, you know,
Talk to people about you, exposing your secrets.
Yeah, that's
People
actually a
issues.
perfect example. Bro, your wife has to be enamored by you. She has to be your biggest fan. If she's going home and my husband's doing that, you know, that business that he's doing. No, bro, you have to be the biggest fan. You have to be the first in line. You have to be my first customer. You have to be the highest paying. You have to be, like, not exactly, I'm just saying she has to support the have you seen that in those old American movies where they go to a baseball game or like a basketball game and they have the foam finger, you know, the finger where it's number one. Yeah. That has to be what she has to be like this in the crowd. Yeah, woohoo, my husband.
But do you think some brothers could be blameworthy?
Oh, 100%. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you have to then be somebody worth getting behind. You have to be someone worth being admired in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't respect yourself, she's not going to respect you.
Yeah, so.
Like, you know, one thing, and I think we should do an episode on this, right? There are some brothers that turn righteous girls into tyrannical dogs.
Yeah, wasted on you.
That's a big problem.
This girl's wasted on you. She can be my wife, and wallahi, she'll be grateful.
Right. Why? Because
what did you say?
As in that
making
girl.
a point. It's right.
As in, if you're a guy, if you qadirullah, if Allah blessed you with a good girl, and you're not worth.
What did you say?
he said she can be my wife.
She can be my wife. She'll be grateful.
Allah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
it's
Yeah,
I understand the point.
You know, I would pattern her.
yeah.
Because women are.
And then she's wasted on you. Well, like she's such a good girl, and she could have been a good girl for me.
But,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be better for her if you divorce her and let me marry her. Come on, bro.
But the point, so just so the people can like connect the dots, what we're talking about here is that women will become unattracted to a man who doesn't possess certain qualities and characteristics, and when women become unattracted to that man, if she's not smart enough to realize maybe it'd be better for me to not be in this relationship and get khula or something because I just can't give him his rights because I just don't love him, respect him, not attracted to him in that way. Sometimes what they will do is they will just become tyrannical and they will just become rude. They will speak to him in ways that they never spoke to their dad. It's like, bruv, this woman was an angel. She was a great woman. What happened is because he was a weak man. And I've seen that countless times.
Like women by their nature, not that there's anything malicious behind it, but by their nature, they'll test the boundaries. And if you aren't someone who's going to put the boundaries down and enforce those boundaries, they're seeing it bigger and bigger. And eventually they get to the point where you're like, she's this and she's that. But really you facilitated that. You allowed that. Yeah. And literally, bro, as a man, you got to man up, take accountability and say, you know what? it's my fault.
Yeah.
Not in every situation.
Yeah.
Not in every situation. Not in every circumstance. Sometimes it's genuinely hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
I think that's a podcast on its own. Like how to be a centered, dominant, attractive man, not just before marriage, but throughout. Because we've seen many brothers that Allah barik, bro, girls would love to be their wives, but the moment they get married, they have terrible relationships, terrible marriages. Why? Because being able to attract women from the outside is very different to being able to keep her attracted
From the
Maintain
inside.
that.
from the inside for a decade and another decade and another decade.
Actually, a very quick question. You've helped many brothers get married.
Mm.
Have you ever helped anyone get divorced?
Yeah, helped. I've only ever told 3 brothers to get divorced. Of them, 2 actually did, and I actually walked their hand through it. And it's one of the things in my life that I actually hope to receive reward from Allah, because those girls were devils.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, one of them, like she used to smash plates, like bro, like
This guy's cold. The way he said it, they were devils.
yeah, they were
Like
devils.
that's-
There's some girls, that's what I'm saying. Like she used to smash plates, like she used to let the brothers, his friends, like hear her screaming at him, shouting, smashing plates. Bro, she's the one who hasn't let him see his kid. You know, the one who, at the beginning I said the one who said I gave up.
Wow.
So the last point before we finish, what was the point you kind of whispered to me? That
No, the point was just the reconciliation process, which I mentioned. I just want to mention at the end.
Which
again.
reconciliation?
Like,
As in, end it. If you end it well.
no. So
And then try
if
not to.
Yeah. So if you're gonna end it, like I said, if you felt from here that right, my wife's hard headed, or my wife doesn't support me and I'm trying to achieve great things, or my wife talks about me, talks kada wa kada wa kada. Like I said, brothers, what you
There's
have
a
to
process.
Yeah, there's a process, and the first thing I would mention is that you may not be as good as you think you are. Like one thing I was reminded of many times in my marriage, either by reading a book or maybe my wife brought to my attention or someone else advised me, was that I'm not as good of a husband as I thought I was.
No matter how thinly you slice the bread, there would always be 2 pieces.
Exactly. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-mu'minu mir'atul mu'min, or kama qal. And some question the hadith authenticity, but the meaning is correct, which is that the believer is a mirror for another.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, I don't know how my bed looks. I might think I woke up looking all handsome, but it's swimming in another direction. But when I look at the mirror, it tells you my faults, my mistakes. So the point here is that you have to go through a process to be able to identify and work out who's actually right or wrong. So the first stage is al-wa'adh. You what? Reminder, encourager. Second thing is leave the bed. Does that make sense? The third thing is ad-darb, which we discussed at the beginning, and to find the details of it, you can watch our podcast with me and Abbas that we did. The fourth thing is at-tanazul, right? Allah said, وَإِنِ امْرَأَةٌ خَافَتْ مِنْ بَعْدِهَا نُشُوزًا أَوْ إِعْرَاضًا فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا أَنْ يُصْلِحَ بَيْنَهُمَا صُلْحًا وَالصُّلْحُ خَيْرٌ. That reconciliation is better if they want to maybe give up their rights. Like a wife might say, okay, look, let me ease off and not ask him for all these things, because that might give him breathing space to be able to put up with me. Maybe you can come back and revisit that later. If you can like push and pull, tug and pull, give and take, and kind of maybe like not be so firm on some of the things that you want to save the marriage, then fantastic. Because you might realize I'm asking for X, Y, Z, but in me asking for this, I'm putting so much pressure on my marriage that it's about to snap. Let me stop asking for this. Let me take this away so that whatever. Then the fifth and final thing is, and if there is between you two, what? Problem, and you can't reconcile and you feel like you're going to separate, bring someone from her family, bring someone from your family. And here's the beautiful thing. Allah said, if you intend reconciliation, يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. If your niyyah, if you actually want to reconcile, Allah will bring it about between you. Like, don't go into this hard-headed, no, I want to demand. No, actually like want to reconcile, Allah will make it happen. If after all that, Allah said, وَإِيَّ تَفَرَّقَا, if they go their separate ways, now you've realized, like, there's no other option. Like, Allah gave you 5 options to reconcile. I've exhausted all 5. Akhi, now don't force it now. Like, don't force it now. Now is time to let her go. As in, now the building's on fire. Like, divorce is not, you don't go out the fire exit.
If the front door's fine.
If the front door's fine. You only go out the fire exit when the building's on fire. So this
Otherwise,
building,
you get fined in some buildings.
you get fined, right? So you don't go divorce. But now the building's on fire. Like, bro, it's better to leave. Like, you will be happy, she will be happy. There's a story that one of the mashayikh...
You're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, there's a story that one of the
time's
mashayikh talk about. There was a husband and wife that were really in love with each other, right? They were really in love. They were really, really in love with each other, right? But they couldn't have kids. And upon like medical checks and whatnot and so on and so forth, they actually found out that the reason was because of the guy. The guy was impotent. He wasn't able to have kids. And when that happened, the wife, who was deeply in love with the husband, she said to him in a very nice and calm, relaxed, she said, please divorce me, because she really wanted kids. And he said, this is your right. So he divorced her, right? and they went their separate ways, and she married another man, and she became pregnant, and she had kids with him, and the brother married another woman who was previously married, who already had kids, and he
She didn't want any more.
and he loved those kids,
Wow.
and he raised them like it was his own. So they were both happy,
See, that is a happy ending.
and that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
and like I said, Allah said, يتفرقا, if they go their separate ways, يغنيهم الله من فضله. Allah will suffice them both from His virtue. Inna Allah wasi'un hakim. Allah is very wide. He's got a wide and massive wasi'un hakim. Like he's got massive bounty, and he's wise. As in, He's got a better plan for you. So the key here is that divorce doesn't mean that it's over. There's someone better, and not just that. It's important to keep the etiquette of divorce, which is ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم. Don't forget the good between you. Don't speak about her in bad. Don't mention the ill. Remember the good things and give her a gift, as Allah Azza wa Jalla said. And look, when you get married, we're told وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, right? Live in good, right? Allah said وَسَرِّحُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. But when you leave her in divorce, leave in good as well. Like the divorce should be on good terms. It should be high five. Things are good. I know a brother who divorced his wife because things didn't work out. You know what he did? He, for 6-7 months after divorce, carried on providing for her.
Allah Akbar.
May Allah bless him.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
He carried on providing for her house, her accommodation, her food, her car, her gym membership. And that's the spirit, innit? That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, final
That's
thing I
good.
mentioned before we wrap up.
No, I'm okay.
Just one last thing I want to mention on that point that you mentioned about doing the Islah, you bring one person from their family, what's in their family. That only works and this is one reason why you have to try and find someone with a righteous family. Because if you bring someone who's practicing and the father, the mother, whoever you choose from the family is practicing, it will make your life a lot easier, both of you. But if that person is not practicing, they don't understand the deen and they have their own thought and mindset and culture and it goes against the deen, you're going to struggle and you're going to set yourself failure. And that basically trump card or whatever you want to call it is not going to work.
Yeah, or in that situation, you go to scholars, you go to mashayikh.
You know what?
So she's going to run right.
Honestly, I don't even think
Especially in the UK.
Yeah.
In the West.
Oh, this is what I was going to say.
Especially
I
if
think
you've got a legal marriage.
I think it might be worth considering figuring out ways how we can get around this custody battle situation. What do you have to do? What do you have to do for the wife to not take
I got some serious
take the
advice
kids?
on that.
And the reason is because you might have to construct this. Remember, you're fighting against an unfair system here.
We're thinking the same.
You're fighting against an unfair system here. So I'm saying, I think it makes sense for you. Why would you play the rules if the rules are going to be played against you? If you have to say, my wife is crazy, so to get the kids out, I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing. Considering the opposite is, my wife is going to do bad things to my kid or things that, for example, people have fought with me about this before. But if you take away from the kid's potential, as in what he could be or what she could be, that's a form of harm. You haven't actually done anything to the kid in the present moment, but you're taking away the future possibilities. That is definitely a form of harm.
So
you have to, as the parent, you have to give everything for the kid, everything for the kid's future. The kid is nothing right now, but the kid will be something in the future. And if you cut that away, you've harmed him or her.
It's like
in the
Bitcoin.
moment.
If you sell before it goes up,
Yeah, that
lost
element.
potential money you could have made.
Yeah, 100%.
So I have a couple points and thoughts about what you said. So first point number one is that when it comes to getting custody, before there's government and UK laws, whatever they say, the sharia has something to say on it.
Sure.
And there's times when it's best for the child. In fact, the asl is that the child stays with the mum. Does that make sense? And
Until
to take
Until when?
until 7, right?
Yeah, until the age of 7. Then
then
they have a choice whether they want to go to the mom and dad.
Right. But the point here is that when it comes to custody, I feel like it should never be like, I deserve it.
No.
It should be, go to a scholar, go to sheikh, go to a qadi, go to a judge and say, sheikh, who deserves it right now?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think your wife is terrible, but she's not. It's actually you, or you've misunderstood it. You made a mountain out of a molehill. Point is that I'm now, whatever I'm going to say is in the context of, you've gone to a sheikh and he's told you,
Take the kids.
take the kids.
Yeah.
Because this woman,
Speak.
shaitan. Right? Shaitan. She could be on the verge of kufr, she could be prison towards bad, she's not good. Whatever the reason is, the sheikh told you, no. Okay, now you have to be a bit smart. Because you tried to fight a custody battle in the UK.
You're going to lose.
Like I know brothers that one brother, he cried to me, said, I gave up.
Oh, that's deep.
I gave up.
Yeah.
He said, I can't see my daughter again. I thought he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meat. Right?
That's so sad.
Yeah,
I actually can't.
I'll actually tell you about his story later.
There's
Because
a lot of brothers.
There's a lot of brothers.
one,
The brother from the landlord from thing.
yeah.
That brother.
Happened to him as well.
Yeah.
That explains why he's a
Brother
bit.
from Birmingham as well.
There was a brother on YouTube as well from the UK.
So the point of the matter is that you got to be a bit smart. So generally speaking, whether it's kids or not, one of the things I would advise brothers after you've gone to the mashayikh and obviously speak to the mashayikh first is consult a lawyer. Okay, not because the laws of the kuffar or anything have any meaning to us or whatever, but it's just that so you know what's going to be used against you.
Yeah.
And the scholars
Not just that, but equip yourself in the game.
Right.
I'm not saying that the game is good or the game is just, but I'm saying I'm not going to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as you're right to not lose.
Yeah.
Right. If it is your right to lose and you deserve to lose, then you should take it. But the scholars mentioned that what would be the ideal situation is you go to a qadi, you go to an Islamic judge, you go to a scholar and it's fine. But if you find that this woman is going to go to court and she's going to be manipulative, she's going to use the laws of kuffar against you, then the scholars mentioned you're allowed to go to court just to get your right. Not because you go to it as a point of call, because you feel like there's salvation.
No, the first thing you say is, fear Allah, give me my rights.
Right.
And I go to Qadi, she's not giving me my rights. And if that doesn't work, I'll see you
You've
in
got
court.
no choice. That's
And I
the
have to
only
call,
way. And you just get
Harvey Specter.
and you don't get more than what you deserve. Does that make sense?
He's a character from a TV show about
And
legal law
you
stuff.
don't get what more than you deserve. Like, to give an example, there's a brother we know that divorced his wife and she didn't let him see the kids. So when there was a tribunal between the judge and him and his wife, the judge actually said to the father, you can take the kids, you can take custody because this woman is keeping your kids in a house that is overpacked. She can't provide for them. You're saying I can actually provide. He said to the wife, like, I can give the kids to him. And then the brother actually said, no, in our religion, the kids have to stay with the mum at this age. Like, he knew it wasn't his right, even though this kafir judge was going to give it to him, but he didn't transgress honor. He just said, I want to be able to just see them.
Yeah.
When they get to that age, they can make a decision.
Yeah.
But for now, I just want to be able to see them.
It's so deep how the guys, that's all they want. They want something fair. He just want, look, you can see her. You can say, I just want it to not be used against me. And then on the other side, the girl's like, no, he's never going to see my kids ever again. It's never going to happen. So evil.
So what you should do is you should speak to a lawyer. And there was a brother who told me this because he went through a divorce, right? Where he was trying to do things all right. He was speaking with a sheikh who was mitigating between him and his wife, and it didn't work out. And she was, for example, refusing to like be intimate and like, shave her hairy legs and so on and so forth.
That's why we made the episode.
Yeah, we made an episode in defense of that brother. Allah barik. But anyway, what she did was she went to a lawyer. You know what the lawyer said? He said, get him to slap you and then record it, and that way you can have rights to XYZ in the court. So he was like, it was weird.
Bro, this is what you're up against.
Yeah.
This is
The lawyer told
The lawyer said,
this is what you're up against.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you think I'm not going to play this game as well? Come on, bro. Let's be reasonable
and do you
now.
know how he found out? He was like, the woman was acting nuts for about a week or two. Nuts. He goes, like, she took his Porsche and just started driving it at crazy, ridiculous speeds, like she's about to crash it. Like, she was trying to do everything to pee him off. Allah, the brother, he's not like that. He's not going to harm a woman, right?
Clement, reasonable guy.
But one time, he saw messages on her phone. Not that he was going through it. It actually popped up. And it said, lawyer. So now, although you shouldn't look at those messages, but now he's thinking, Rah, she's talking to a lawyer.
You've piqued my interest.
And then he looked through the message and he said the lawyers set him up in this way so you can take XYZ from him. So he said, after you go to the sheikh, no, what he said to me, he said to me, Imran, the first thing you do if you get a divorce? You're looking to get a divorce, consult a lawyer. I said, I'm going to tweak it slightly. Go to a sheikh first and make sure you are in the right and get his guidance and tell him to guide you through the process, and then go to a lawyer and ask him what you're up against, especially when it comes to the kid.
I think one key point to mention here as well on this topic and on this issue is wherever possible, it's always best to avoid going through the court system and this and that.
Yeah.
If you can come
Prevention
to a
is better.
reasonable
Yes.
solution between yourself, because like I said, even me, alhamdulillah, like my parents got divorced when I was younger, and I remember actually having to go through, because it got to a point where, so this is a bit funny. It's not funny to be honest, it's sad, but it is what it is. Like for example, look, like one of the things we used to do when I used to go visit my dad, it's like we used to watch movies and stuff, obviously back in the days. We used to watch like horror movies and stuff.
Which we don't watch anymore.
Obviously we don't watch anymore. But like my cousins used to get together and we used to watch horror movies and so on and so forth. But when I used to go home, I used to get nightmares. I used to be scared. Like obviously I'm younger, I'm a little kid these times, whatnot. And then obviously my parents would my mom said they'll find out, whatnot. And there's just some other issues and even stuff which, like I'll be honest with you. And again, this is child my boy, so I was opening up a little bit here. But even like my mum, she says, you know what, it was wrong. Like we shouldn't have gone to court. And like she ended up, they went to court and it got a bit messy and they tried to reduce the amount of time that my dad gets. And he was really fighting to get more. And I remember for me,
as the child, it was very, very difficult to deal with all of that. Like, the guy's asking you, what are your thoughts? Like, who do you want to be with, your dad? I'm like, I want both.
I'm sorry. How old are you?
I actually don't remember, but it was younger than 11, definitely.
Wow, so primary school.
Primary school. So primary school.
Yeah, that's really sad.
And I just remember, like, it was very difficult. And I used to just think, like, why? Like, why are you guys doing this? Like, why can't you guys just come to some sort of, like, agreement amongst yourselves? Or because the funny thing is that, no, it's not funny, but like, the families it's like my parents were related. Like, I don't think they were first cousins, but I think they were like either second cousins or family friends, or there was some sort of relation there where, like, I had family members who were my dad something and my mum something as well. Like, the families were linked. Do you get it? So I used to see, just like, why is there not a solution that can be found, like, between it? And it did definitely have a toll, and it definitely, like, it wasn't a nice experience, because at the end of the day, as the child, you just want both. I want my dad, I want my mum. And I understand it's not working between them, but why is, like, a next man coming to me and telling me, and, or like...
You can only see your dad this many days a week.
This many days. Sometimes, at the beginning, they would say it has to be supervised, or this, that, and, like, I'm with my dad. And I've got,
what does that look like? Sorry.
So when you spend, so, like, there'll be a guy, so you'd meet in a third-party place.
So when you meet in prison?
And there would be a guy there. Yeah, you'd have to meet. Yeah, and it wasn't nice.
That didn't happen in the end, right?
No. As in, that was at the beginning. There was a few things,
yeah.
like, and it wasn't nice. I think, like I said, even my mom looks back and she says, like, that was wrong. That should not have happened. The way women about it, and so on and so forth. But just that's for people that are looking into this and considering this. And I understand things are hard and things aren't working out between the two of you, but there's a bigger picture, man.
Yeah,
some people just get caught up on me,
Yeah.
and all they look at is me. And the worst is when the people around them are also just looking at them.
Yeah, that's actually not.
If the parents are just saying, look, I want what's best for my daughter.
Not the kid.
Look at the child as well, because I'll be honest with you, the child has rights, and the child could potentially get affected from this whole thing a lot worse than your daughter, or than your son, or than any other,
That's why, just as a rule of thumb, anyone who ever has a kid, I never encourage them to get divorced. Even if I feel like they should, I always say go speak to someone else. That's not something because that's something that has to be judged, looked into, and is there really?
Yeah, you'll be tried on the day of judgment for that one.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, divorce with or without kid, there's a 5-step or 4-step if you want to by default just not apply one of the 4 stages. It's like at least a 4-step process, at the end of which most situations can be easily resolved. Like, you find that when it comes to reconciliation, bro, number one, it's just slight adjustments. Like, maybe she's just asking for an extra 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That can save your marriage and your kids. Maybe she's just asking for a lot of harm problems come down to money. Maybe it's just an extra like £150 a month.
Yeah.
Like, maybe. Like, do you get me? It's not salvageable.
I think another issue as always on the same point of children is just relax, my brother, wait. Give it some time. Don't jump straight into the marriage and just start looking at use one by one.
Right. So there's 2 brothers I know personally. Like, one brother I know had a terrible. He doesn't know women. He doesn't understand women. He doesn't know how to govern women. He got married, had a kid, got divorced. The woman was a devil. I don't know what it is. He attracts devil women. I don't know what it is. Devil women are attracted to him. I honestly believe it's because he has extreme low self-esteem. No, but I'm saying, when I tell you how bad they are, like I said to you, one of the girls, she told her brothers beat him up, and as they're beating him, punching in his face, he's looking to his wife saying, "Please tell them to stop," and she's saying, "Chop, no, shut up,
Wallahi,
they're gonna beat you."
I said, "Chup."
Yeah.
I'm thinking lollipop, like chup. I said, "Chup." Like, bro, I said, "Chup."
Yeah, chup is good. So point being,
that is dark.
Dark, right?
Bro,
so
someone should save that guy. You guys know him and he's not your brethren. I don't understand. Like,
my guy.
You guys have to save him, bro. What's going on?
We saved him.
Say that is dark with a bit more emphasis.
No, I did. I was like, bro, that is dark, bro. Lie. That's because he's in a pit. That guy is somewhere. He's in the. What do they call it? They call it.
Yeah, I was trying to get.
What do they call it? They call it the sunken place. He's in the sunken place, bro. You have to go fish him out of there, bro.
I remember, I said to him when he started having problems, when he got married, because I saw the way the first marriage went, and I clocked, he doesn't know how to manage them even. Like, it's not even like he knows how to manage them. I was like, bro, don't have a kid straight away. As in,
You know, I think this advice really helps with the practicing brothers who have never like been
He
in a
knocked her up
haram
in a month and a
relationship.
half.
You never went to a mixed school or whatever it is. You have no idea what you're in for, bro. You definitely should not have
You
been in
don't.
the beginning. Yeah,
I get knocked up in a month and a half.
it happened for a month and a half.
He knocked her up in a month and a half. As in, he impregnated her.
The second one.
The second one.
After the bad experience with the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second one turned out to be the worst. Bro,
Was
he
he said to that, please help, and she got involved.
Bro.
The first one said trip, this one was like, let me get my
she
things
got a
on.
gin that's in love with him as well. Like, it's just the whole thing's mad. I said, my bro, so there was another brother who just recently got married. And I said to him, listen, just wait out. I'm sure your wife's great. You're going to be happy and married forever. But just wait out, please.
Yeah.
Just be a bit smart. And just go to go to Amazon, buy a book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Have it? Are you taking notes? Because you don't know, right? You got people.
And just the final thing to mention is that, brothers, if you're watching this and you have a wife who has, alhamdulillah, none of these characteristics, or if they are, they're not severe, cherish that, appreciate that, reward that, make sure that you show your wife that you love her and so on and so forth, and encourage it, because no one wants divorce. And I hope, we made that clear from the spirit of this episode, is we're only talking about a specific situation where these elements are present. Then, of course, you follow through with this process. If not, then inshallah, enjoy your life, enjoy your family, and enjoy your kids, and just be happy. Live a happy life, live a happily married life. With that said, inshallah, we'll end it there, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Chai with my Bhai. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Sorry, I know that's supposed to be the last thing you say, but if there is anything, if you were touched by the things that we mentioned on this episode or any of our previous episodes, you can always go to thebrothersclub.com to see how we can help you. As we say, become a member, become a man.